the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Lose Liam Cohen back to the NFL. Unfortunately, you bring in Boise's offensive coordinator here to replace him. But
how many years does the 5-star rating hold up? Like, do you have like is it expiring as after
well,
like
they
2
do
years?
change it in transfers, because I think he's a 4-star transfer. I think he was a 5-star guy. So I don't know. I think it's interesting that the numbers don't like Kentucky. Like, they're bottom 4 in the SEC going into next year, and I feel like there should be a lot more optimism. Like, I would think the numbers would like them a little bit more, because we know the defense is going to be solid with them year over year. Under Mark Stoops, I know it was weirdness where he almost left but didn't leave to Texas A&M. But like, they have a strong receiving core. I think the offensive line should be better than it was a year ago. I think Brock Vandagriff will be an upgrade over what they saw at quarterback last year. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised.
He's also a total mystery box kind of too, though.
Yeah. It's a mystery box, but it's like a fun mystery box. Like, I'm surprised to see
it could
Kentucky.
Even be a boat.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you like, because you get Barry and Brown still there. You still have Dane Key. Like, they have talent out wide. Old friend Gerald Mincey looking like he'll be the right tackle there. But I don't know. I would assume that there was going to be more optimism, and the numbers would like Kentucky a little bit more than where they're at. I mean, they're down there with Vandy, Mississippi State, and Arkansas in the SEC. So I don't know. That's weird. And if you're a Kentucky fan, you might want to be a little bit nervous that the numbers don't like Kentucky. Like, what if Kentucky slides this year with Texas and Oklahoma in the fold? What if Kentucky, like, the Stoops era peaked and we're nearing, there's just less juice, and like, he already thought about leaving once? And I don't know. What if it is a down year for Kentucky and it doesn't go well for Brock and company? I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be like, shocked if Kentucky was, in the bottom, 4 or 5 teams in the SEC. Like, Texas and Oklahoma coming in, like, really kind of changes the pecking order in this conference. Like, Kentucky sitting in the SEC East, that's been, the weaker division for about a decade. Like, that was their shot. It was like coming into seasons being like, they could be the second best team in the East this year or something like that. Maybe they get 2018, that Georgia Kentucky game was essentially for the East. That was the one year they kind of got to that point. But now, without the divisions, it's like, yeah, they may have been second in the East that year, but what were they, like the 5th or 6th best team in the SEC, like, at best? Like, yeah. So, not disrespecting Kentucky, but I think the divisions are going to hurt, someone like Missouri and Kentucky. And this isn't even about the schedule, right? The FPI, this is just kind of a power rating. So they're not even predicting anything, but I mean, they jump right into it with South Carolina week 2 and then Georgia in week 3. And have to go at Ole Miss in week 5. So it's not.
Well, that's a good point. It's like
either.
They used to be able to hide because they'd stack up those wins before they get the Georgia buzzsaw, where it's like they're 6-0, and we always thought, like, the networks love to talk themselves into like, oh, undefeated Kentucky could be spicy here, and then
they were
like
5-0, and you hadn't actually watched one of their games yet.
Well, they can't do that anymore, like you said, and they're right there. You get South Carolina at home and Georgia at home, but it doesn't matter. Like, you're losing that Georgia game, you're losing at Ole Miss. But then, like, this is actually kind of crazy. So from September 28th to November 23rd, they are at Ole Miss, at Florida, at Tennessee, and at Texas. Oof.
Oh, wow.
Those are 4 road games in a month span. That's tough.
I mean, I think their season, it's hard to be, and in Louisville at a conference too, it's like, that's not going to be easy either. So yeah, I think a lot of it's about, like, did they strike gold in Brock Vandagriff? Because, when you're getting a transfer from a program that has, an elite player, it's possible his backup is also an elite player. He just wasn't good enough to beat out Carson Beck. So, there is a chance that Vandagriff is this former 5-star and he lives up to the billing. He's a dual threat, making plays with his legs and everything. But I don't know. He's a first-year starter in the SEC. And the schedule, it's not really built for a first-year starter. Like, you're kind of jumping right in, even though I don't think, like, South Carolina is going to be, like, anything great this year. Like, you do get South Carolina and Georgia at home early in the season, but I don't know. I think it's going to be tough for a first-year starter.
Absolutely. Final thing here, Matt Green. Michigan, who we talked about a little bit here, 4th best in the Big Ten right now. they are only given a 25% chance of making the college football playoff as a whole here in the 12-team playoff era. The defending champs, the odds aren't even good that they make it back to the playoff and defend it. And you look at it and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm surprised they weren't more aggressive in the portal at quarterback, because Matt Green, there are some question marks there, and there are no obvious answers, and they're having to replace a lot. I understand they're going to put the ball in Donovan Edwards' hands a lot, and he's going to be a really good player for them. They're going to be good in the trenches again. But like, I have real concerns about Michigan. Like, I think Michigan's like a 9-3, 10-2, maybe max team going into next year. I don't know. I wonder if people are ready for that, because I've seen, like, you just kind of assume that if you won the college football national championship the year prior, especially in a 12-team era, if you're in a Power 2 conference and you're one of the big boys like Michigan is, you should have enough to keep that going. I understand there's different variables here with Jim Harbaugh moving on the NFL, but you kept the staff mostly together, and there's just not a lot of optimism with the numbers. And I think a lot of that has to do with the schedule, but a lot of that has to do with quarterback. Like, I'm just surprised. Like, Ohio State addressed it. They're like, Cobb McCord not working. We're gonna go out and get Will Howard, get Julian Sayin from Alabama. We're gonna beef this up. We're not letting that happen again.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.